season's greetings and all that stuff. Happy holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, solstice, whichever. Weird fact of the day? What was it? The first night of Hanukkah started on Christmas Eve? Interesting, like, alignment. Anyway, so hopefully you're spending Christmas or spending the holidays with someone and enjoying it and not really watching me. I have about an hour before I go to my sister's and we're doing a thing. So I have just enough time to tinker around and get some movement. Hopefully the movement will be pretty quick. I coded the movement a little while ago just for the introduction of stuff. But since moving everything over into the project, I haven't really checked. So I think everything's in, code-wise, subsystems in there, and all that good stuff. Input actions are in there. Now when I hit play, if I check my output log, there is a warning called mapping context null. So what's happening here is if I go to my player controller, I am passing in a variable called my input mapping context. And if I go to the header, where are you at? When this variable is declared, this is a uProperty edit anywhere, and I can blueprint rewrite it. So this is just one of those things where it's not populated. I can in the begin play, I might be able to do it in the constructor, but in begin play, I need to actually populate this variable. Right now, it's a variable of the correct type, but there's no data in it. There's nothing there. So how do I get that data in it? Well, kind of like we did with the game mode. You can search and find things and pull them in, but really this is one of those situations where it's just easier to just set the variable in the editor. So what I'm going to do is go to my content drawer and find my player controller, and I will create a blueprint class from it. And this will be this, and I'll just do BP at the end. And I'll drop it into blueprints system. Hooray! Horizzle! Oh, I am in play mode, so I should hit stop. But inside here, you can see that the mapping context is there, and all the various mapping inputs are here as well. So I can just go ahead and populate these. So IA jump, IA move, right, left. I don't see the other ones here though. Jump, move, right, left. I wonder if that's because the context doesn't have it in there. Blueprint. Oops. Input. Yeah. Nope, I only see move here. So what I probably didn't do is create the variables for those in here. Yeah. Left, right, move, jump. I didn't do up and down. But that's fine. Those should be populated. In here, I can compile and save. And now, theoretically, I should be able to hit the buttons, and we should, if I go to my content drawer, or sorry, output log, I should be seeing these happen, so I'm going to go to Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Modes here. We're currently using the C++ version of the player controller. I'm going to make the blueprint be the one that we're going to look to. Now remember that the blueprint version is the same thing. It's just a layer on top of that so I can have direct access in the editor. So if I hit play, that should be good, and then I should have an output log. Let's just go ahead and dock in layout, and I've got movement, yay. Jump doesn't jump, and going the other way doesn't go the other way. So to go the other way, where's my context here? So W and S, W will go up, S will go down. So I need a modifier on there. Let's do a negate. And then I'll probably have to do another modifier. And then for the D is going to the right, A is going to the left, so I'll also need a modifier. We'll negate it. I don't think I have to swizzle the axis, though. I might have to swizzle the axis, but we'll see. But I'll save that. So left and right works. Up and down do nothing at the moment, just because I haven't specified for that. So we'll save here. I need to set the movement mode. Let me go ahead and hit stop on this. Let me grab these. Oh, bit of a lockup for a second there. This is IA up and then down. So I've got right pressed, held, released. I don't know if I'm going to need to store a tap count for these. Just because the new movement system lets you do that internally. But for the moment, I might just create them. So this is left, 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 right, right, right. So let me get these. Copy. Now, weird thing with the macros. So the macros aren't really like an if statement, you know? They're not a parent and a child, but they kind of are. So the macro works on the next immediate line. I could do this inline if I wanted to. It's just easier to read it this way. But the general gist is to have these tabbed so you can see the order of operations, so owner and then, or parent and then child. But it doesn't view it that way, so you have to manually do these. Okay, so this one, I pasted those in, but I didn't actually see what I was doing. So this is left, left, left. Here we go, so right. So starting from here, I'm going to do a find right, and I'll replace it with up. And then I'll just find next, next, next. And then next. These are the standard inputs. These are the others. You know, I might not need these, but it's okay. I'll build them anyway. If I don't need them, I'll take them out. So up, 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 and then this left here. And this will be down. So down, down, down. That should have been a down. Same thing here. I have up, down. So up press, down press, right, left, up release, down release, right, left. So those are in. And then I have jump started, jump completed, move. Right, right completed, ongoing, left, ongoing. Get these. So this one will be up. And those will be down. I wonder why I did them that way. Okay. I'm going to do a thing that's going to break a lot of my code. I'm going to put underscores here. For readability. Okay. And I'm going to put move in the beginning. This is just organization, it doesn't matter. Alright, so jump, right, left. Okay. One thing that's kind of nice about Visual Studio is I can generate these. I'm going to try doing them all, but it will probably fail. Let's go ahead and quick actions, create definition. Yes. Where is the CPP? Okay. Let's just move these next to each other. Let me try doing it to a group. Sometimes this fails. Not change signature, create definition. Did I get all three? Yes, I got all three. Sometimes it'll pop them in, but it'll pop them inside of each other, and you have to go and fix it, so you just gotta watch. But those are generated, and then I gotta go all the ones that I created earlier. So these are the movements. I'm gonna move all the movements. Again, this doesn't matter. I just like a certain level of organization. I'm gonna put all the movements in the movement section. And then up here, where it's all red and angry, I gotta go and fix these. So this enhance jump, that needs to be an underscore. 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 Somebody's flying on Christmas Day. Who flies out on Christmas Day? Okay, so those should be good. Alright, so now that I've created those, I do have to create the inputs. So I did create the initial bind. I'm surprised this isn't failing. But I guess, yeah, I guess it's fine. These are not set up, so this should fail, but it's whatever. I'll probably remove this standard inputs because we're going to be using the new input system. In the enhanced input section, I've got jump, move. Really, I want this to be organized differently. We'll do move, jump, right and left. I'll just do them as groups. Visual clarity is all this is. Left, and then for the right, and such. I'll just copy these, paste, and then paste. So the general rule of don't be a copy paster is when you copy and paste something, you have to make sure you go and update it. If you do it by hand, you're not likely to mess that up. Hey, if you're just joining in, thank you for the views. Really, you should be celebrating with somebody, but happy that you're here with me. So, tinkering around. So these should all be up. So, up. And then down. Okay, we got started, ongoing, and then this should be, do some underscores here. Don't be a jerk face. There we go. It's going to get mad because I have some redefinitions. Enhanced move. Did I not do an underscore? I did. Okay. Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm just cleaning things up and getting things ready. Okay, so this will be up. I know I could do the control find, but it's whatever. Right, left, starting completed. I might have to add triggers for these as well. We'll see. Up and down, left, right. It's always a debate of whether or not I'm going to do camel case or if I'm going to do snake case, you know, or Pascal. Pascal is the big letter, and then camel case is it starts off lowercase and it goes uppercase, and then snake case is the underscores. So it's like, which do you use and in what situations? So it really doesn't matter. It's about being consistent. These are easier to read if there's camel cased. They just are. So got those. Like input up is a single thing, you know? And then whatever the action is. That's my justification for it. But here I did IA up, down, left, and right. So, and then, but up here, I did not camel case, or I did not put the underscores. So in this case, I will put an underscore. Order of operations, I'll put movement first. Not that it matters. Okay, and then I gotta go over here in the CPP file, and I just broke all those, so I have to make sure I fix them. So the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna get the IA, control find, and I replace it with IA underscore. Next, 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 next. Those are probably all okay. Okay, so it should be good and clean there. Save it, and then I will relaunch, and we'll take a look. Just checking to see the chat. I don't have the other screen up, so I can't tell. I need to build the other monitor section on here, but I was going to rebuild this whole perch anyway, so I don't know. But it would be convenient to have a couple other screens, you know. It's just taking a minute. I was like, what is it doing? Did it stop? But no, it's going. It's just taking a second here. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Oh, just working through the holiday. How's your holiday going? Celebrating with family? I've got my sisters coming up in about 3:30. I think we're going to check out and go do that. Admittedly, I'm a bit of a Grinch. Christmas is not my favorite holiday. But she loves Christmas. That's like her favorite thing. I'm a Halloween person. Halloween's the favorite holiday. Christmas is just too much commercialism. You know, it's the whole thing about there's like the spirit of giving and whatever, but I work throughout the year. I work really hard to save throughout the year between things that I need, things that I want, and the bills that I have to do, you know. And if I'm not going to randomly drop stupid amounts of money to buy random gifts for random people, why would I do that this one day of the year? Like why? It's become too much about that. It's like if you have to throw presents together just to spend time with family, that seems to be the wrong attitude. If you're gonna do something nice for somebody, it should be genuine. It just feels like Christmas is very forced. I buy people stuff, and I get gifts for people throughout the year at random because it's something that they might need. You know, a guy in our riding group, he liked the jacket that I have, you know, because I did the unicycle thing. And he's like, "Oh, that's an awesome jacket." He's like, "Does that come in red?" And I was like, "I think so." So I showed him a picture of it in red, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it looks awesome. I'm gonna have to get one of those." But I knew that he probably won't get one, but he probably should have one. You know, everybody's financial situation is different, and I know his situation. So I was like, well, I'll grab him one, you know. That kind of stuff. That was a genuine thing. I wanted to help him out because I thought it'd be good. But in general, like Christmas by itself, and that wasn't like, it was, I think, in November, so we were close to Christmas. And when I gave it to him, I was like, "Here, Merry Christmas," you know, whatever. But it's that kind of stuff, you know. But Christmas itself, I find to be a bit too commercialized. All right, I think it's up. Alrighty, let's hit play. What do we got? No movement. Did not save that update. Oh, you know what happened? I changed the names of a bunch of stuff, which means I have to repopulate the variables on this guy. Yep, these are going to be repopulated, but now they're all here. So move, jump, right, left, up, down. So this is move. This is jump. Right, left, up, down. And you can see the naming convention. I was consistent with the naming convention by not having the underscore, because I did it in code, so I did it here, which is, if you're going to do a thing, be consistent. But I should change these here for consistency's sake. It doesn't really matter. It's just readability. Unreal's pretty good at letting you rename things without it breaking. Although you can see it does get a bit flippy. Ooh. Yay. And this gets recompiled, resaved, and we will play it. Up and down, still do a slide. That's going to have to be a swizzle. Jumping does not do anything. I don't know if I coded jumping yet. Where's the output log? I should check to see if controller compatibility works. Is the controller connected? Controller's on, but I don't seem to be getting a response. You know, it may not be plugged in. Like, it's on, it says it's reading. What about the PS3 controller? No. Or PS5 controller. That's not running. I don't think Unreal has native support for PS5. You have to do it manually. Unless they changed that in recent years. Okay. So what is the next goal on the list here? I should be seeing these. Oh, I haven't hooked them up. That's why I'm not seeing them. What about jump? What did I do for jump here? There's right, there's started, there's move, here's jump. So jump is here. So I haven't hooked up jump over here. Let's go to the mapping context. Let's set up jump. And the way that jump is working is going to use spacebar. And then I also want to use a joystick face button. So face button bottom. Okay. Jumping is working. Gamepad is not being read. I'm curious. I think it's there. I think it's plugged in. Should have shut off by now if it wasn't. That's not super crucial, but it will be a thing that I need to do later. So jump is good. Alright, we're going to shut that down. I'm going to put my character in flight mode. And then we'll go from there. So I'll go back to the game here, or back to the code. I need to go to the character and have an enable flight. Yeah. He has a flying state and a facing direction. And I have an E state. Interesting, I have an E state, but I don't have an E facing. I should have that E facing. E facing. I've got a standard move speed. Okay. I have a jump start and jump end. Those probably get called on those. I need to do an input that toggles my flight. What did I do in the previous version of this? I believe you tapped up twice to initiate flight. And if you were flying, you could quickly tap down twice to get out of it. I might have to change that though, because there are certain situations where you could tap, because you can dash in any direction, left, right, up, or down. And if you want to dash downward, the double tap might take you out of flight. So something I might have to check later. So how do I want to do that? So the input system, hit the button. I need to change the state that I'm in. I could do a Boolean. versus a state variable. I'm just thinking about pros and cons and how I'm going to manage it. Because swapping a bool on and off is very simple. But there are convenient reasons for using an enum, because I can block off sections of code on that. This is the boring part, because I can spend, an hour thinking about how I want to implement something. The downside about doing it streaming is you have to sit through my silence. I'm fine being quiet and just thinking, but I know it's not very entertaining. I'm also thinking about the new input system and how I'm going to communicate back and forth with the player, because everything is handled. So the player controller, I could put all this on the player and not worry about back and forth, but I may have more than one player at some point, so the player controller is a little bit nicer for that. But I need to have the player controller send a signal to the player to tell the player what state the player is going to be in. So does that mean that I need the player controller to be aware of the player's various states? Or can I keep it ambiguous and just have that action be the thing that calls a function on the player to set the value? You shouldn't, not that you shouldn't, but like in here on the player controller, if I check a thing, I call the function on the player and have the player handle its own logic, right? In general, you don't want to be setting variables directly on like the other thing, like if you think about the player controller and then the player as two separate entities, the player controller should ask permission before changing variables on the player. It shouldn't just reach its hand into its pocket and go for change. You gotta ask first. So like in here, I'm doing that. I'm setting a value directly on the player. I shouldn't be doing this here. Sometimes you just want to do a thing, just have it working, and you can worry about being pretty later. That's definitely true. Okay, so I want to do a double tap to initiate up for the flight. So I need to know what I'm going to set on the player. I think what I'll do for the moment, just to get it running, is I already have an up check. How does it read taps on the new system? Phone is being slow. So what I would normally do for a double tap is I would have a variable, and you can probably see them here. I have a variable for tap count, and then I manually just check if the variable is being updated, if the input is triggered or not. Trying to see the the method for the new input system. Okay, so one suggestion that I just saw was making a separate input action. So for example, if I'm doing up, I could make another up underscore double tap. That means I will need to have a double tap on here. Let me get these. Okay, and then let's see if those got put in correctly. It did. Yay, put those in correctly. And then here's up, enhanced input, IA up, this will be double tap. And then over here, like that, and then the way I think this works is on the completed, which would be when the double tap has finished. So then on here, I want to check for the player. So if player is not equal to null pointer, and then I'm going to grab the player. I want to get I'll just do the eState, and I will set it to eState flying. Do I have access? So this does not have direct access to those states, so it may fail. I'll know when I compile it. I lost where I was at. It's over. There it is. I'm expecting this to say, hey, I don't know what the heck that is. Because I'm basically acting upon this as though it's a global, but I don't think it is. I didn't create, so the enums are built in on the player's H file. Yeah, these are built here. But these need to be global. Well, you know, no, it's probably going to be okay because the player or the player controller has access to Selden. It actually has access to Selden, I believe, here. Yeah, it has them here. So it should be fine. It should be able to see the states. Now I need to create a input action. This will be the double tap. And there are currently 2 triggers on here. Yeah. So I have tap. I don't think I need this trigger because I'm not holding. And then where we go? Okay, on the up. W for the keyboard. How does it know? How do I set the number of taps? That's on here. So triggers in the tap section. Tap release time threshold 0.2. I thought it manually, or I thought it internally stored the tap value on the new system. Release within this time frame to trigger a tap. Right, but I need 2 of them. So a programmer friend of mine had a good sort of motto, which is, if it's complicated, it's wrong. And one of the gripes about the new input system is it seems to be complicated. But the ambiguity might just be, or the difficulty in it might just be my lack of understanding of how the new input system works. Activation threshold 0.5. Let me see what modifier options I have. Dead zone, swizzle, response curve, smooth, two rolled, input value, smooth, response curve, negate, none. So I see a tap happening here. Do I simply pull because in my mind, it makes sense that on the tap response for this, so what I would normally do is I would take the controller here, and I have an up. So these are the old inputs. So I have an input up released and an input up pressed, right? So on the pressed, since it only reads once, I would have my tap count and a tap timer. And on the pressed, I would initiate a tap, and then on the released, I would just check the tap time. If the tap time was in between, a certain point. If I tap again, I check the tap time to see if I'm within the threshold. And I'm still checking the variable. So I have 2 things I'm working with. On this, it seems like that's getting offloaded. So they kind of have the same thing, a started, a completed, and ongoing. And I wrote my code in the wrong spot. This should be in the double tap completed section, but it's fine. I'll move it. Yeah, I don't know how I want to read that. But I think I might have to start looking at the inputs less about as an input and more about an action. So, for example, I could have an input action called start flight, and that could be where it looks for 2 taps in this particular moment. Might be the way that I'm looking at the problem. Yeah, because I'm not sure what the best option is. And do I put 2 tap triggers? And how do they both fire? So let's experiment. I've got my double tap here. Go ahead and just save this thing. Make sure on here I add it. I may end up changing this. This is me experimenting with the input system so I can get my bearings with it. Just in case, I'll save all. Let's exit this. I'm going to move this into my enhanced input double tap. I don't want started, completed. I'll do here, and I'll do a log. EU or UE log temp warning text I think that's correct. It's LOG. And then the macro does not get. Okay. You know what? Hold on a second. I think my brain caught up with my own stupidity for another day. I'm gonna do that. I'll do this. And then I'll do this one. There was a thing that I was looking at the other day. Okay, so that's not true. I thought maybe when I was firing off this macro, I wasn't throwing a semicolon on it, which would account for why I couldn't fire the else. But nope, semicolon was there. Random thought. I fixed it in my brain though. It's 308. Oof. Okay. Let's hit play. I'll get my output log. Dock and layout. So up, tap started, tap ongoing, tap completed. So ongoing. Okay, so I have one tap, and I have, when I release within the threshold, it counts. So I'm going to go open up the input for my double tap. If I add a second tap trigger, action combos must... Am I better off doing a combo action or a chorded action? Chorded action is when you have two inputs being read. So for example, if I wanted to get a high jump, my high jump would be holding, L2 and then hitting the jump button. And then I could have the high jump. That would be a chorded action. Would a double tap be a chorded action? A tap then a tap? So I'm going to run two taps and see what happens. I have no way of telling. Because both taps are being completed. So I can't tell in that case. If I delete this and this, what if I do it as a combo? All actions in the combo array must be completed based on combo completion event specified, triggered, completed, etc. To trigger the action, this trigger is on. Actions must also be completed in the order specified. by the combo action array, starting at index 0. Note, this will only trigger for one frame before resetting the combo's trigger progress. I wonder how combo is different than chorded. Yeah, I'm not sure. That looks weird because I would be setting up another input here. So like if I were doing a chorded action, it's the same deal. I specify another one. Huh. Modifiers. Can I have it be within itself? That seems like it's going to be reciprocal, like a feedback loop would be stuck. So that's probably a bad idea. Maybe I can treat it I'll just put single tap up here. So we have the first tap, although it doesn't give me the number of taps. Affected by time dilation? Maybe. Should global time dilation be applied during the held duration? Huh. I don't see the number of taps. And we'll add a secondary action. We'll make this chorded. And we'll say that this has to be on the up event. And then for the up event itself, I do have a held. I don't know if I really need it held, but there's an ongoing. So up does not do anything, but if I hit twice, nothing there. I will remove the held modifier. and just keep it as a tap. It doesn't read it. Let me see. Try to see the best way. I can make up a way. I can do it this way. This is to me, this feels like it's getting very messy in my brain, and I don't like it. But this is what I can do. Can I put this back? Yes. We'll remove all this stuff. And I'll put tap back on this stupid thing. Because I can't specify the number of taps, the completed doesn't work. Like it just doesn't. I'd have to always do it on started. And I'd have to manually keep track of the tap count. And then on completed, but then I'd have to know the fucking tap time. Unreal, help me out here. I do not understand your logic. Now if I have two input actions, I don't see it as, like, if I did 2 of these stupid things, having one at a 0.25, and have one like have a longer wait time, so you can tap one and tap the other, but it would just execute within the right time, so that doesn't work. I feel like this is stupid. This is a dumb way of doing it. This is going to force me to just not make this game for the next 10 years. Yeah, because if I'm going to have to sit there and count my own taps, there's no point of using the new input system. But I have to use a new input system because they've basically obliterated the original one. Why have these built-in features if they're not going to be useful? The only thing I can think of to utilize this is on the completed end of it. But I would need to know the tap time. You're not helping me out, Unreal. Can't be a null trigger on the input action. Oh, it is none. Modifiers, dead zone. I don't know. I don't know how that's supposed to work. Oh, that's so stupid. All I want to do is press a button 2 times. It shouldn't be that complicated. I mean, I know I'm a moron, but this just seems too difficult. It doesn't pull the number of taps. Why bother giving me a tap time if you're not going to also check the number of damn taps that I'm going to have? Why? Alright. Enough whining about this stupid thing. I'm just going to close it. Oops, I didn't mean to close that. It's fine. I don't need the camera. I don't need the HUD class or the game instance or the animation instance or the ether components. I can there are so many tabs open. This creates an unnecessary amount of stress because it's just fucking stupid. Why overcomplicate crap? That means the tap time. I have to keep the tap timing a thing. Do I have my inputs? Yeah. So here is my up tap count. This is dumb. So on my up started, can I get the tap count? Can't get the timing out of there. Unreal, this is dumb. I'm gonna set up a manual timer because this is stupid. And if I have to set up a manual timer, it's irritating. You don't know how much that irritates me. I have a held and a release. I don't have a float for the timer. I want to go back to Blitz and Chits. I don't want to deal with this. I can set this to predefined time. This one would not be. Because now I gotta put this on tick, which is so fucking irritating. Alright, if what I'll do is I'll put this down here. Now it's gonna make a variable. I guess leave it as up tap count. And then on tick, I have to check that timing. What is it in here? Delta time in seconds. There should be frame delta time in seconds adjusted by e.g. time dilation. I believe that will be fine. Basically, I mean, like, if it has a built-in tap time, I shouldn't have to manually check the timing. The whole fucking point of having a built-in tap system is that I don't have to do this. I should put, let me stop real quick. I need to put a couple logs here. Okay. So, ongoing starting completed. Tap time exceeded, tap time completed. And there's the one that fired. So that part works. I have to be real quick on it though. So that's good. That's good. That's too slow. That's good. I might want a little bit better timing, but maybe 0.3 versus 0.2, but that seems to be working there. And if I don't know if that's the best way to handle it with their new input system, but this is the way I'm handling it. Again, I'm firing that on completed. I'm using the internal tappiness. I'm not really even using their internal tappiness. Like, I'm trying to think of what benefit there is. There's no cost benefit analysis here. This could just as easily be on pressed and released. Don't let her fool you. Normally we're late.
What?
I said don't let her fool you. Normally we're late.
But this time we would be on time because I don't have
So I may change these to just pressed and released because I'm not utilizing their tap. I'm running my own timing. That's firing here. Like the whole point of having a built-in system that handles that, so they don't have to write manual things to implement it. And while I guess I could say I'm happy to do either, but a lot of times my own stuff is more dependable. But I liked the idea of there being a built-in tap system because there's a lot of buttons to manage. I was like, oh, cool. Nope, that doesn't work. So, I mean, unless I'm just stupid, you can comment in the thing and say, hey, you're dumb, this is the way you do it. I don't see another way. I'm not sure kind of what else to do with that. Oh, I do want to have a function on the player real quick. Where is Selden? There he is. I'll make a function. Should this be a constant? There are no other versions of this. I don't think I need to worry about it being constant. So I'll leave it not constant. is this called? Change states. Switch. Let's do state. Case. Boom, 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 boom. What's with the formatting on this? There's a built-in variable. I thought it was can fly. I might have to change the built-in state to flying. Movement mode. Might be movement mode. What is it? Character movement. There's air control. Yeah, I should be getting... it's a variable. Oh, here. There's nothing in here at the moment, but we'll save and run. And I'll just check what it is inside the blueprint. Hey, how's it going? Aglo. Yeah, sorry if I missed you, if you popped out. I'm focusing on stuff. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, sort of, somewhat understand programming. No, I don't know. Basic syntax is okay. It's when you're working in a certain system and understanding its features and what it does, that's the tricky part. Do you do any programming? Let me open up the character. Can Yeah, there is a checkbox for can fly. Capsule is capable of flying. Can swim. These need to be checked, although I want to check them in code. Let's open up the full blueprint. Movement component. There should be a movement state. Default land movement. Okay. So in here, character movement. I don't know if can ever fly is a that is on the movement component, right? Movement component. Under movement capabilities. Yeah, can flies right there. So I should be able to talk to this. Really, this should be over here. I don't see the option to crouch. Yes, he is crouching. I see the can ever crouch. Is that not? What is the purpose of that function? And these are just questions that get pulled. Yeah, ZBrush is great. I wish we could do it in the classroom. It's just super expensive. So getting it has been a bit of a challenge. I mean, I use it, but I really want my students to get more of a chance with it. Have you tinkered around Unreal at all? I don't know why these are not popping up. They are part of the movement component, though. Character movement component. That's weird. I also want to set the, where's that? Default, default land movement mode. Those probably have some states. I wonder if that's been switched over. Character movement, general settings, character movement, walking, yeah, default land movement. There's gotta be an enum for this. No movement modes. What mode options do I have? Assuming that these are enum values, though, I can just specify. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be the thing. Can I do it? Can I do it? It probably won't let me. No operators. Let's see. E movement mode is a type that I need. So there we go. So I can change the movement mode here, but I still need the permission to fly. So, but B can fly is not available. Well, what is it? I can set it in the blueprint, but I want to set it here. Where is it? FYI, I can hear them packing up. They're probably going to make me stop and get ready to go soon. UE5, character movement component, B can fly. Question is, why can't I set that? What is it called? is that not running for here? You know, I'm just gonna do it this way. Like, there says that there's a bee cheat flying, but I don't think that. That's not what I want. That's upsetting. If that's gonna be the new thing. Let's see what the suggestion is. This says it's under B nav agents props can fly. Why would they put it there? That's a weird place to put it. B can crouch should be available though. But I didn't see can crouch. I don't see can crouch. That's under get character movement. B can crouch. Let's see, uncrouch is crouching. I wonder if it's under the nav mesh agents section, because that looks like it is probably going to be there. If I go to can, it's under the nav movement section, so it's probably part of that. I'm way out here in Florida. It's 4 p.m. way out here. 10 p.m. Where are you at? Let me try under nav agent props dot. Yep, and they're all here. So I guess it was part of their whole restructuring where they remade a bunch of stuff. So there's B can crouch. That should be true. And then we'll do that one under B can fly. So those are in. And that gets set. So I'm going to hit stop. Make sure I save and recompile, and then run it. Oh, I didn't fire off this check. Hold on a second. under the controller, whenever this happens, I want to call the, I don't want to set this directly anymore. So I'm going to call change state and pass in the state that I'm changing. This will be eStates flying. Now, my best advice for just learning programming, like tutorials are good to kind of get your feet wet, but you need to go in and dig around an API and just kind of get used to what it's doing. Like right now, with all the changes in Unreal 5, like I've done stuff in Unreal 4, and I've tinkered in Unreal 5 a little bit, but I've been teaching Unity for the past 3 years, so my Unreal expertise has diminished. Like Unreal's changed a lot, and there are things that I remember, things that I think I remember but aren't quite right, and so it's really just me like reorienting myself to working in Unreal's thing, you know. But you gotta go and get your hands dirty, and that's gonna boost your experience. Poland, that's never been there, but I have a bunch of kids in my class that have Slavic, heritages. So, yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm in here. Let's go ahead and hit no for that, but I will put the output log up on the thing so I can see it. And let's hit play. Movement is good. Double tap. Now I can fly, allegedly. But up and down doesn't do anything yet, so I need to go in. Where is the new movement system? Input system. Move. IA move. We'll go here. Okay. So I want to swizzle the axis on W and S. I think that's how I want to do it. So W, modify swizzle. And then S, I will also modify and add a swizzle. And then the axis that I want to do, I think that's correct. Let's hit save. So so up and down no longer do anything. That sliding is a good sign that I like that jump stopped. But me sliding, that's a good sign that I'm in flight. Can't jump anymore, although pressing jump does nothing. Let me go and climb up on these. Boop. Can I get there? Yeah, I can. Allegedly, I can fly. Huh. It's weird that it initializes after a jump, though. And of course, pushing up and down does nothing. So I should have an input driving the Z value. Let me check the code here. Let's see. Gotcha. Yeah, for the schools over here, we're doing. See, I was hired on about 10 years ago to create one of the first. It wasn't like the first, but it was one of the first high school level game design programs. Like they had tried it in a couple different places, but it hadn't like really worked. I think they tried it in elementary school and they tried it in like a couple other schools, and it was like hit or miss. So when they hired me on, there wasn't really a curriculum for it, and I was teaching Unreal, so I built a curriculum for it. But then 6 years forward, when I changed schools, everybody wanted to do Unity because Unity offers certifications and stuff. Unreal didn't offer any certifications, and it's a good selling point. So it became a very competitive market where they're like, well, we can sell our program by saying we teach all these certifications. So they started switching over to Unity for the certification push. It was also easier to teach Unity than it is to teach Unreal, just because C# is just kind of simpler to get into, and then other kind of things we added on. So we do Blender, we do Maya, ZBrush. I would like to have. We technically have Softimage and Mudbox, but we don't dive too heavily into those. Mudbox is good for sculpting, but not good for creation. So you have to build it in Maya first, then move it over. A lot of my kids like Blender, but that's a bit of a challenge because there's no certification in Blender, but they still allow it. You know. So, but we finally got Unreal back in the classroom, which is I'm happy to say. But we can't code in it yet. There's still a permission lockout for that, so we're working on that. Are there any like college level courses out there in Poland that teach it? Let's see. So I was going to check the code to see if I should have basic movement. Oh, I know why. Yep. I didn't look at the code yet, but I can pretty much predict that I can't fly because I'm only allowing the x-axis in this case. Let's see. This is currently only set up for walking. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they do. I'm trying to work through how I want to implement this, because I have a state machine that I'm somewhat coding. You know, this change state is basically a state machine, but all these things are being handled independently, so it's kind of messy at the moment. I think what I'll do, just to move things along, is we'll do if state is equal to eState flying. This is a dirty way of doing this. Then I won't worry about flight speed. I'll ignore that for now. I only care about world direction. Trying to decide if I need to add a world direction in this way. I'm just going to do a manual F vector. And then the move axis dot, let's do the Z axis. Am I not allowed? My move axis is a 2D, so it'll have to be the Y axis. Times move speed. I'm using walk speed. I see that this one's white. Is that still local scope here? We should still be in scope for that, so that's weird. It probably hasn't updated because I'm still playing. Alright, I'll hit stop, and then I'll rerun. Interesting. So like my experience in like college settings, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like when I was at the community college, it was very much like a high school. They taught you things, you know, like this is how things work. But when I was in, when I went to Westwood to finish up my degree, it was very much teach yourself. And I'm like, why the heck am I paying these guys all this money for an education that I'm teaching myself? You know, it's kind of my gripe about college in general. But it's whatevs. You know, from like I was talking to a guy, he was doing, it was an accounting degree. I forget what specific degree he got. I think he went to University of, it was like North Carolina or something like that. It was a one for fancy accounting. We had a debate on whether you should go to a community college or a university or what does it really matter. And his perspective was the kind of education you get based on what you're paying versus, like, if you go to like Oxford or Harvard, you're getting the name, you know, I went to Oxford, I got the prestige of going to Oxford. But the way that they deliver their instruction is basically you're teaching yourself in the higher levels anyway. So I'm like, what's the point? Why Why would I spend $100,000 to go to Oxford or whatever just to teach myself? Um, there's got to be some engagement. Whereas like at a community college, it's more spoon fed. It's very much like high school. They're gonna teach you every single thing. There's benefits to learning how to teach yourself, which is part of the advantage of going to like a university. What they're supposed to be teaching you is how to do the research and how to teach yourself and how to learn. Um, that's the trade-off. But at the same time, it would have been nice to, whenever I asked a question, for them to have an answer, you know. So I kind of get that pain. So I don't know if where you're at is that they're so much that they're bad teachers, or is it the mindset of how the instruction is supposed to be delivered? I don't know. I don't know what's good. So like with what I do with my kids, my students, is we do guided instruction, but a lot of it is them having to teach themselves. I'm like, this is how you do a thing, and they can ask their questions, and they have to apply it. So we do steps of where this is how you do a thing. Now you try doing that thing, and now you get to fumble a little bit, and now you get to ask me questions. And we gotta go through that process, because they're constantly following me through every little thing. They're not going. They're just pantomiming. They're not really actively thinking. So it's important to make them think. I don't know if I have the right answer, but they seem to be learning, which is good. Okay. So now I'm not getting any movement upward. You know what I didn't do? I did not. I set the state, but I did not set the state. So in here, I set the movement mode to flying, right? And I passed in the E state to switch this here, but I didn't pass in what the actual state is. So what I should do here, just to I should have state be whatever the little state is, and I can pass in big state here. That's a messy handoff, but it'll work. So if you don't really do a lot of programming, whatever's inside these little parentheses. So here's my function, and the function has parentheses. I call those little hands. They're holding up little hands. They want you to give you something, right? So in his little hands, he wants to know what state I want to be in. This could be whatever I want to call it, but I just call it state for the fact that it is going to be the state of my character. But Unreal doesn't like. I don't know if it's an Unreal thing. I think it's a C++ thing. They don't like ambiguity. So in C#, you're allowed to in a local, like if nobody else is going to see this, like this function only sees this, this function only sees this. Right? No other functions are seeing this. These are independent. So this is what you would be called like a local scope. This is local. Anything in between these braces, this is local. Nobody else sees it. It's just this guy. And the local setting of this, I could, have a big state. That's fine. But Unreal will yell at me and say, hey, you have something that's ambiguous because I have an actual variable in my character's header file called state. Where are you at? There it is. with a capital S, case sensitive matters. So because these look the same, it doesn't know which one I'm using in that local context, and I have to be very specific. So one of the things I can do is just use an uppercase versus lowercase to let this thing know this is this type and that's this type. Another thing I could do is I could say this. I could use the this modifier on here, and then I'm talking directly to the one that's part of this class. But anyway, that was me rambling. All right, let's see if I can go in the up direction. Yes, and now I can fly. Whee! It still waits for me to jump before I can fly, though. But I can fly. Yay, I can bounce. Boink. What if I'm on the ground? Can I jump? No. Jump, no jumpy. And now I have to be able to get out of flight, so. So that's kind of like, I don't know if I agree with don't ask me questions, you won't understand them anyway. You can certainly adjust your answers, So like, I have kids who come up and ask me stuff all the time. And I usually answer them by drawing on the whiteboard. Like, well, you could do it this way. And I draw an illustration of a thing with some talking points, and I say this is how I would approach it. Or like I had a student come up to me the other day. He's like, hey, every time I've got a flash drive, and whenever I'm trying to transfer a big file, it takes a while. Why is that? And I was like, well, you have a lot more stuff on that big file. It just takes more time to move the data over. And he's like, okay, well, how come when the flash drive is full, small files take a while, even though they're smaller? I'm like, well, there's also, there's only so much data on there, right? It takes a certain amount. So but to answer his question, I drew like a hard drive little pie chart, and I was like, well, if you have this much space, it might be trying to access different points and whatever not. But I try to answer them and try to answer questions in a way that, if I were not understanding, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like the burden of knowledge. There's a thing called the burden of knowledge, which is when you know something, you just kind of get it. And when you try to, and you'll see this a lot on Reddit posts, and if you go to Stack Exchange, you'll see this a lot. Or if you go to IRC chats with programmers and you ask questions, you'll get a lot of irritated people just trying to get you out of the room because they don't want to deal with you for not knowing. And that's like the burden of knowledge, right? They don't have a good way of, breaking that down. But I try not to do that. I try to answer my questions as if I were asking them without the knowledge that I have. Which is not perfect. Sometimes like they'll ask a question and I don't always know exactly what they're asking either. Because sometimes asking the question in the right way will give you the better answer. Haji used to say that all the time, John from Johnny Quest. And they'll ask a thing and I'll go, I have no idea what you're saying. Try again. And then they'll restructure their question. And then I'll go, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And then I'll... But it's important to have those kind of dialogues, though. All right, so we got this. I can fly. I believe I can fly. I'm going to jump out of here. Where am I going with this thing? So I can change the state. Cool. I need to be able to unfly. So at the moment, my unfly is going to be very, very lame. And I will... that means I have to do a double tap. I have to do another double tap. You jerk. Okay. So I've got my up max tap count and my tap count, my tap time. I'm going to copy all these. I'm going to go down to the bottom here. Tab these over. Boop. Boop. Whoops. Alright, and now here's my down tap count, so I don't need this one. That one's fine. This should be down. This one is going to be down, and this one will be down. Setup is the same, just names are different. But they have to be independent because if you're switching between up and down, you'll have different timings. Okay, and now I have, I got this. And I think what I will do for the down situation is I'm going to take a step ahead of myself. So right now I have an IA up double tap. Instead of making an IA down double tap, maybe I'll do this. Instead of it calling down double tap, maybe I'll call it stop flying. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But I'm trying to think of this more in the action that I want to do versus the buttons that I want to press. So the action I want to perform is stop flying. So that'll be the input action I'll create. And then down here, we have my enhanced input down. And I'll do this as input action, enhanced input, stop flying. And I might change this later. Maybe my brain won't wrap around this. But if we don't try, we won't know. Alright. Did that get put at the bottom? It got put... Oh, I love it. It's maintaining my control section. That's good. Okay, and then here, I'll get these. This is IA stop flying. All right. Okay. And then on here, I'm going to be doing this under the completed section. All right, where is stop flying? Here it is. Don't be a copy paster. I say as I do. Tap completed. Time exceeded. Flight disabled. And then these, I'm going to change these ups to stop flying. I did these as downs. See? My brain didn't catch up. My brain did not catch up. That should be down. No, no. That should be down. That should be down. There we go. The thing I like about, when I do like teaching things is transparency. I let my students know that I'm not perfect, that I fumble and struggle as much as they do. I just happen to have experience to lean back on when I make a mistake, So it's like when they get to watch this kind of stuff, they get to see me do dumb things, and then they don't feel as bad. Let's see. With the college, I definitely didn't want to have school. Well, thank you. I don't know if I'm a good teacher, but I try. I think a lot of it has to do with being patient and, again, understanding that people that you're teaching don't necessarily have the knowledge. And, even if they think they have the knowledge, like they might have experience with it, but you always kind of have to assume that whatever they've tinkered with, that whatever they're doing is wrong. That's not to say that it is, but you have to lead with that assumption, because if you lead with the assumption that they know what they're doing, then you're not going to teach them effectively. Because you're going to skip things. You'll be like, oh, well, they probably already know that. You have to kind of assume that they don't. So I have one student, I got a bunch of students who do this, but one in particular who loves to do his own way. And I'm like, and he comes up and he asks, he's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, but I can't seem to do this. It's like, you didn't follow the lesson. And he goes, well, I'm doing, I was like, but you didn't follow the lesson. Like, the question you're asking me is in the lesson that you skipped. So I'm not going to answer it for you. Go through the lesson. Learn it the correct way. And then try your own way. And I'm happy that you experiment. I am. But you're missing things because you skipped a lesson. So go do that. Go acquire the knowledge that you need. And I'll tell them straight up. I have students who are like, oh, I don't know about this. I was like, you do know about this thing. You just want me to stand over your shoulder and tell you the answers. I'm not going to do that. Like, there's a lesson right here. I had one who was like, why can't you just teach me this thing? I was like, I did. And a lesson. I built a lesson that teaches you that thing. You got to go do that thing. Go. Of course, if we're doing guided instruction in the class as a whole thing, that's different. But if there's a lesson around it, I'll make them do it. But all right, so we're in the game. Allegedly, I should be able to fly up and fly down. Oh, I didn't set up the control. So I'm gonna take this, change this. Instead of it being input action double tap, this will be stop flying. Again, I'm trying to restructure the way that I think about the inputs. So instead of thinking about them as raw inputs, think about the action I want to perform. So I'll go in there. Again, to stop flying, I do need it to be a tap, although I'm changing the way the tap system works. So I don't think I need tap. I think pressed and released will be fine. So I'm going to change this to pressed and released. I think started and completed will be fine for this. So on the released, it'll be the yeah, on the released, it should still work. The timing might be a bit weird. And if it's wrong, I can always fix it later. Come back into here. We will add in the, this is the input action, stop flying. No! Alright. I'm gonna go for broke. Do I have enough time to test it? Flying works. Can I double tap and stop flying? Oh, you know, I didn't tell it this, so the I was being too quick. I'm getting the sheep hook, so I probably won't have a chance. But the function that I need to implement on this for here, that should be eState walking. And then on Selden, for here, one of the states needs to be set to walking. And this needs to be walking. Okay. Counting down the seconds. Tick tock, tick tock. Alright. We'll jump into this. I'll hit play, we'll test it, and then I gotta go. Whether it works or not. Sometimes I'm as bad as my students. The bell has rung, and I'm like, no, just one more second. So flying. Flying has not disabled. I'm still in the flight. Oh no! Why is it breaking? Why is it breaking? I wanted to fix it. I lied. I know why, but I'm lying. That's under here. This is the problem with using a separate system for this. This is tap count for that. I need to put in a tap count for the down. Forgot, I'm not using Unreal's internal tap system because it's broken. I sense the evil stares, though. We were supposed to be there at 3:30. It's 4:45. Just putting that out there. Okay, flying. No. All right. I gotta go for real this time. I'll have to fix it later. Anyway, guys, have a Merry Christmas.